Hello and welcome. In this lecture, I want to provide a demonstration on how you can create a list view with a custom adapter. When we want to display a series of items in the list with a custom representation, so things other than a text view, we need to create a custom adapter. So if we wanted to display maybe 3 items in a list or 3 columns in a list, multiple text views, and an image ID, we would need to create our own adapter. So the first thing we need to do, we're going to still use our list example from our previous lecture. The first thing we need to do is we need to define the model. This is creating the Java class, the Java object that has our fields in it that we want to map to the list view. So we need to go our Java source code, get out of our res folder, we'll go to main activity, and we want to create a new resource or new Java source file in here, new class. So inside here I can say new Java class, and I'm going to name it, we'll just name it something descriptive. How about users or user? I'm going to have it a class. We're not going to have any superclass, no interfaces. I'm going to keep it the same package. We're going to make it public. So these are nice template here you can use to create a Java class. I'm going to say OK. It creates a user.java file that's empty. Now remember that this is the model class that is going to get mapped to your list view. So if your list view has multiple data items, you need to have multiple attributes that represent each data item. So I'm going to create a couple strings here for some of the fields. Let's say name, and my semicolon is still broken, so got to get that fixed. Create a name field. Let's create and typically in Java, when you create member variables, you want to make them private and then have getter or setters. But for simplicity's sakes, I'm just going to make them public. So we'll say name, and then we'll say, how about first name, last name, and then our third item will be. And here we'll put our image view. And we'll have to Alt Enter on this to import the class, and then we'll just make a constructor that so we can create our pass in our variables. So public user, and we're going to just say and we'll use the same ones. Not great practice to use the same names, but we'll at least use this. And our image view. And so as what we have to do for the rest of this class is we will have to override the getView method. But for now, we mapped our attributes, so now we want to go to our next step, which is creating the view template. This is the class that has our items in it. So this is our simple list item, which we should probably rename for now, but for purpose we'll just keep it the same. And this time we will need to load a layout, because this layout needs to display 3 items. And so for the purposes of efficiency, I'm just going to copy and paste some code that I already have with a linear layout. So I'm going to change this to something like an image view and then 2 text views. Put that in there like that, and then we just have to end our linear layout. There we go. So now that we have our we have our basic model with our attributes, and now we also have our view template in XML. Now we need to define our own adapter by subclassing the adapter. So we need to create another new class. So we're going to go new Java class. And this one we're just going to name user adapter. And we're going to make it a superclass, or I'm sorry, we're going to make it a subclass of array adapter. Which is of type user. For now, we'll just do that. Say OK. So now it's going to extend the array adapter, and we can actually specify the object here. So what we want to do is we want to create a constructor for our subclass adapter. And it's going to take it to context, which is our activity. And our array list. And this is just going to call the super method on the array adapter, passing in the users. So here is where we need to override the getView method. In our model class, we just need to define the data. So in our getView method, which would be an add override, so we have to use the Java annotation, we're going to override our view getView, which takes parameters of position, the view that you want to convert, and the view group, which is the parent. In here, we just want to say user equals get item. This is getting the data item for the position. And we want to check if an existing view is being reused. Otherwise, we want to inflate a view. So we have to check whether the convert view is null. If it isn't, we want to inflate it using the correct resource. So we can use this layout inflator class. And we want to get the context and inflate our resource from our parent. So this would be our simple list item 1 and our parent. And then we have to make sure that we're importing all the correct classes. The last parameter is just false. So we want to make sure that we're including all our code. This is our layout inflator, which I misspelled. So there we go. It's already there, so that's good. Get context should be from the application get context. We want to make sure that we have all our imports correct. So context, we have to import array list, we have to import array adapter, we should already be importing. So we want to fix everything that's in res. We want to import our array adapter. Get all our imports right. We want to import our view. We want to import our view group. And now we're good. We want to build just to make sure everything builds. And this source we don't want to have right now. At this point, we want to look up the view so that we can populate it. So we have two text views and an image view. So we want to say our image view image equals our image view. And we should have given these IDs in our resource file, so let's make sure we did that. Which we didn't. Oh, we have logo, label, and up in our other text view. Should have had two text views. We want to make sure this one is labeled too. So we have three IDs so we can access our resources. So here we want to get those resources so that we can match the view. So we want to say convert view, find view by ID, and get the logo, and then we want to get our two text views. And our other one, now that we got those, we want to set them to our user member variables. So we want to say text1. We can set text in a text view by calling set text. We want to pass it in user dot first name. Text2 dot set text user dot last name, and image dot. So to set the image resource, we have to call a specific method in the image, and that method is set image resource. And so we first should probably import our image view and import our text views. Image.set image resource, and we'll just use one of the existing Android drawables hopefully for our resource. If there is one, let's try. Yeah, let's just use I don't know how this will work. Let's use button star for our image. And then the last thing we want to do is we want to return our converted view. And that is how you override your adapter. So just to go over what we did here, we're converting our views. And so we're getting the item position for the user, and then we're just finding the resources and calling the data on that resource. So now that we're done with that, we now want to attach our own adapter and to a view using the setAdapter method, and then we're going to populate the data. So now let's go to our activity class, which is our main.java, and let's take out the stuff that we were using before, and let's populate or set our adapter and then populate it. So we want to use our specific adapter that we just created, which is our user adapter. And this, remember, takes an array. So we first want to just create an empty array list. And pass in this array of users. sure we import the array. And after we do that, we want to set our adapter to our list view. So we're going to do what we did before, list view. Similar to what we did in the last class. We just want to get our list view. And then we want to set the adapter. And the only thing we're missing now is populating the data. So here we can just create some new users and populate the data with those users. And I think it takes a first name, which is Jason, we'll pass in. Last name, which is, and we actually can just leave the image view constant. So we're going to change that constructor. We don't need to pass in an image view because we're just going to hard code it in our method like we did earlier. So let's just leave that like that because I don't have a lot of image view resources, so that's why. So we created a new user. Let's create a couple more. Now that we do that, then we can just start adding our users. And so we can just add each user. And that is it. Let's compile and see if we see these rows in our custom view. So we have an error, misspelled return. So we're able to compile. Let's run it in the simulator. And so now you see that we have our custom names. We have a star for the image, and then we have a first text view and a second text view. Now it's not formatted great. We should probably have spaces between our first and last name. But it does give you an idea of how you can write a custom adapter by subclassing the adapter class and specifying your own data. Now the one last step that we didn't talk about was adding the event handling. I'm not going to provide that in this demo. We'll provide event handling when we do our projects. But it'd be nice if you did click on that list that you could do something once you clicked on it. And so it's a pretty simple concept, adding events. But we're going to talk about that in another lecture. Thank you.